Okay, so a few years ago I came across an article. I think it was on archaeology or something. Anyway, so I saw this phrase. It was something like from 250 BCE to 150 CE. Something like that, right? So I'm thinking to myself, what's this supposed to mean? There was no explanation, so I thought it must mean something like before the Christian era or something like that, right? That made sense to me, actually. I mean, a lot of people don't know that AD means Anno Domini, in the year of our Lord. And BC just means before Christ, which is accurate actually. It's what it really refers to, right? So I'm like, okay, this makes sense. We're living in a larger world now. Hardly anybody knows Latin phrases like this, and a lot of people don't take Jesus as the Lord. Okay, that sounds fair. So archaeologists and historians are just de-Latinizing an old archaic phrase and making it more presentable, but also accurate, right? The Christian era started with the birth of Jesus Christ. Okay, fine. But I was wrong. That's not what it means. Out of curiosity, I looked it up, and BCE means before the Common Era. The Common Era? What's that supposed to mean? I mean, I studied history in college, and I heard of the Stone Age and the Iron Age, the Age of Reason, and even the Space Age, but I've never heard of the Common Era. Where'd that come from? Turns out, a few devout Jewish scholars started using it hundreds of years ago, so they wouldn't blaspheme God by saying or writing Anno Domini like the Christians did. Okay, I get that. Fine. But why make this change now? And for all of us? And why not just call it the Christian era, since that's why the year one starts? It's not for any other reason than to mark the birth of Jesus, like the most influential person in world history? Alright, so some people might not believe he's God, but nobody can deny his impact on the world, and the very reason it was decided to start the calendar then. Before that, it was set to the founding of the city of Rome. So I read up on the rationale behind this change. These college professors were pressing. I found out they're not devoutly religious non-Christians. They don't even believe in God at all. So what's their problem? Why do they care? Why do they want to change the calendar so it removes any mention of Jesus Christ? Their reason? Quote, sensitivity to non-Christians by not explicitly referring to Jesus as Christ, unquote. And, quote, BCE-CE shows sensitivity to those who use the same year numbering system as the one that originated with and is currently used by Christians, but who are not themselves Christian, unquote. Really? Seems to me these sensitive people are being rather choosy about whom they offend. What about those who are not worshippers of other gods on the calendar? What do you mean, you ask? Well, take the month of July, for example. My son was born in July. The month was named by the Romans for the god Julius Caesar. He was declared a god, along with Augustus Caesar, and the 2 months were named for them. The Roman Senate declared them gods, so it's totally legit. Not to mention January, named after the god Janus, the god of auspicious beginnings. They thought that would be a good idea since it was the first month of the year. These gods are on the calendar. So what about the sensitivity of Christians and others who consider these to be false gods and idols? Well, they don't care because they're bigger than that. And they have been. Oh, and let's not forget the days of the week. We get them from the Vikings. Tuesday is for the god of oaths and honor. Wednesday was named for Odin, the All-Father. So, do I even need to tell you about Thursday? So here are these pagan gods, and it follows we ought to be sensitive to those who don't believe in those gods too, shouldn't we? Yeah, right. So it's all nonsense. They aren't really interested in people's feelings getting hurt, unless you happen to be Christian. In that case, they don't give a damn. In fact, isn't it obvious? They just don't like any mention of Jesus Christ. Why expunge him from the calendar if you're not going to be consistent with other religions? You say Thor can't be taken seriously, so it doesn't matter? I have some pagan friends who would disagree with you. So really, the offended ones are these university professors who want to disregard Jesus Christ and Christianity. Don't let anyone pee down your back and call it rain.